All right, so today's opener is a review of what 2 lessons we have accomplished this week, which is simplifying expressions using combining like terms and evaluating substitution, and then solving one-step equations, operations on all of them, add, subtract, multiply, divide. So let's take a look at solving one-step equations. Remember, today when you take the quiz, you're going to get points for showing all of your work correctly and setting your problem up right as well. So make sure that you're showing all of your steps and you're showing all of your work. So Maddie, how would I solve this a plus 8 equals negative 2?
First, you gotta circle the letter A. Then you gotta draw your wall. You do a negative 8. You go one side, you do the other. Then you cross the A down. Bring the A down. And then you multiply.
Not multiply.
Or you subtract it.
Okay.
And then you get a negative 8. I'm looking at you get a negative 10.
Much better.
I was looking at
And then my final part I do is,
you box it.
okay. So let me show you where you're going to get your points today. So the first point is going to be everything in the red. Oh, those colors are hard to tell.
I can't see red.
Are you colorblind?
Yes.
Oh, that does. So the first point is going to be the variable circled, the line of equality, and the box. So if you forget to do one of these 3 things that are in red, that's going to be a point off. It's not a point for each one. You either get the full point or you don't, okay? The second point, and I do apologize, this green right here looks like black. So the green here showing you start with plus 8 and then you minus 8. What's that called when you do the opposite? Okay, showing that you show me that you're doing inverse operation and following the golden rule, whatever you do on one side, you do on the other, that's going to be a point. Okay? Then your final point, obviously, is going to have the correct answer. Okay? That was in black. That's part of the red. So each problem is going to be 3 points on the front. So the front is worth 12 points on your quiz today. Okay. Next equation. Josh.
You circle the variable, draw your bridge, and then plus 12 on both sides. Cross out the left side, bring down the b, and then equals 10 box your answer.
I have a question.
Yep.
If you don't cross it out, does that take...
Show that you cross it out. Because remember, when we're solving equations, our ultimate goal is to get the variable by itself. And by crossing it out, you're showing me that you're getting that variable by itself.
Okay.
Okay? All right. I feel like you guys have this down pat. The worksheets that you all turned in that I graded, you did perfect, pretty much. Okay. Now this is where it gets a little bit more tricky. We have 10 equals negative 2h. So again, my goal is to get the variable by itself, so I'm going to circle the variable. Now,
I know what to do.
Emily, why don't you tell me what to do?
It's a times, so you divide it.
Okay, so because the number is touching the variable, it means to multiply. The opposite or inverse operation of multiply, because we want to get the variable by itself, is divide. When I divide, what do I have to make sure I divide by?
Negative 2.
Take that negative with it. Good.
I
Okay.
forgot that.
Bring down my h on my right equals, what's 10 divided by negative 2?
Negative 5.
But however, I want my answer, what do I need to do?
Flip it.
Flip it, because I want my variable on the left, and then box. Good. Last one-step equation, Riley.
Times by 5.
Walk me through it.
So you got circle the variable.
Okay, then what?
Draw 1
Okay.
and times it by 5.
Times each side by 5 because golden rule, right? I'll show that multiplication, division, cancel. Bring down my f equals, what's f equal?
Negative 15.
And box. Good. You guys feel pretty confident about that part?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's the back side that we get a little more confused on because it's obviously a little bit more complicated. We have some more steps that we need to follow. So let's take a look at the back now. So the first one, you guys are just simplifying the expression, okay? So when you go to simplify an expression, the first thing that you need to look at is if you can distribute. Josh, can you distribute here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so step 1, we're going to distribute. What are you distributing?
-4 to 2p and -4 to -3.
Okay, so when you distribute, you're basically taking the number that's touching the parentheses and you're multiplying it by everything inside of the parentheses. So Josh, go ahead and do that for me.
For -4 times 2p, you get -8p, and then -4 times -3 is -12.
2 negatives equal what when you multiply and divide?
Positive.
Positive.
Oh, I have positive. My bad.
And then what do I bring down?
You're plus 2p. And then you combine like terms, and you get -6p minus 12.
Try.
Or plus 12, yeah. I'm not sure if I'm on.
That's gonna be.
So again, 3 points here, you guys. Distributing, combining like terms, and having the final answer. Okay? All right. Anybody want to try the next one? Ben?
Okay, multiply the 9 by the 2b and 5b,
Okay, and what does that equal?
18b and 45b,
So 18v, positive or negative?
positive.
Okay. What's different about this expression compared to the first expression?
It's got 2 distribute.
Yeah, I can distribute twice. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and distribute again. What am I distributing with this time, Ben?
3 and 5b and -6,
Okay, go ahead.
15b,
Now, when I bring down 15v, what goes in front of it?
parentheses,
Nah?
Plus.
A plus sign, yeah. Show that it's a positive. Show that you're adding it. Okay, keep going.
it'll be -18.
There you go. The reason why we wouldn't put parentheses is because when we distribute, the whole goal or purpose of distributing is to get rid of those parentheses. All right, so now I distributed. According to my notes, what's the next step that I do, Josh?
Combine like terms.
Okay, I combine like terms. I start with my variable because I want to write them in a specific order. I want to write them in order with my terms with variables first in order from A, B, C, and then my constants. So what are my like terms up here with my variables?
18b and 15b.
What kind of 15 is that?
Positive.
So we got to make sure we include that. So 18b plus 15b, is
32b.
33.
23.
33.
Oh, I must have did it wrong.
Come on.
that's okay. We have 3 different answers.
I
So
did 8.
18 plus 15, what do we get?
How is one?
Are we sure it's 33b?
Yeah, look, see, look, it's right here.
We all agreeing now?
Yeah. I did 8 plus.
I have the math. I have quick
Another
math.
dollar. Forgot I had it there. All right. Now, I don't have any other terms with variables, but I do have constants. What are my constants up there that I now need to combine? Ben?
45.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
45 and -18,
Okay, when you take 45 minus 18, what does that equal?
27,
Positive or negative?
positive,
So I'm going to put a plus 27.
I'm gonna.
Yes.
Now let me ask you this. When you look, you distributed, you combined your like terms. Is your answer in the correct order?
yeah.
Yeah. And then your box. So there's your points. Okay?
Did you not divide that?
No, because you don't have an equal sign. So you can't solve it because it's not an equation. You just simplify it.
We can't divide 3 into each one.
No. Now, if I had this, I could. Then I could solve for v. But because it's an expression and not, because it's an expression and not an equation, we can't find what that variable represents. So that's why we
can't
just
reduce
simplified.
it either.
Nope, that's it. That's simplified. That's simplest form. Okay, questions on that?
No.
All right, let's look at the last two. So the last two on your quiz today is going to be where I give you an expression, and then I give you what each of those variables are going to represent. So what am I going to have to do with these variables? Put them in, plug them in. What's that word when we plug them in? Yeah, substitute. So what am I substituting for x?
-2,
So I have negative 2 times, what do I substitute for y? 3 plus 3. Okay, now, once I've substituted, then we have to think about simplifying expressions. There's two ways that you could solve this. Ben, can you tell me one?
Distributing.
Okay, you can either start by distributing. What's another way that you could solve this? PEMDAS, yeah. So, what does this set of parentheses here mean? Multiply, because it's touching this set. So we're going to go ahead and distribute that negative 2. So if we take negative 2 times 3, what do we get?
Negative 3.
Negative 6. And what if we take negative 2 times positive 3? Negative 6.
That's 0.
No, it's not. Think about it.
That's 12 beats.
Negative 12, right? Negative 6. You owe me $6. Now you owe me 6 more. You owe me 12. Okay? Now let's say that you chose to do PEMDAS. So you started in the parentheses, right? And you got 6. Then what's 6 times negative 2?
Negative 12.
Oh, okay. So
That's
I'm
what
gonna
I
do
have.
Either way, I am not going to, either way is fine. If you didn't distribute here, that's fine. Okay? Now, honestly, it makes your life a little easier because look, 1 step, 2 step. Well, this one, 1 step, 2 step because it's not a very long problem. But to me, something like that, I'd rather distribute.
Yeah.
Up to you, though. Up to you. Okay, let's look at the next one. The next expression here. What am I substituting for my x's?
Negative 2.
So I'm going to put,
negative 2 plus
oh, this one's kind of tricky.
very.
I don't like math.
Oh, this one's so much fun. I can't wait. Okay, so what am I substituting for my x's?
Negative 2 plus negative 2.
So negative 2 plus negative 2. Then in my parentheses, what do I plug in for my y?
3.
And then I have another x, which is negative 2. Now, the reason why I put parentheses for where my variables are, because if I didn't put a parenthesis,
It would look like 3.
it would look like 3 minus 2, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. That's not going to be okay. Okay, so now, first step I'm going to look at, can I distribute anything?
Yes.
Not yet.
No, because mine.
Not yet. I can't because there's two numbers being multiplied here. You can only distribute when it's adding and subtracting within those parentheses. So Josh, does anybody have an idea of where I would start then?
2 plus negative 2.
No?
Take negative 3 times negative 2.
Because you are following what rule? PEMDAS, order of operations. So we're going to start in our grouping symbols. Now these symbols mean to either add or subtract or multiply depending on how they're based in there. But we're going to start in our grouping symbols, and in our grouping symbols we're going to start by multiplying. What's negative 3 times negative 2?
Positive 6.
Negative 6.
What? Huh?
What?
Negative times a negative is a positive. Okay. Now, I've done my grouping, the first part of my grouping symbols. There are two ways that you can go on and solve this. The first way, you can continue working within your grouping symbols. The second way, you can distribute. What can you distribute?
Negative 1.
The negative. Now, where'd you get that one?
Because you always have a 1 and there's no
There you go. So we can distribute using that to get rid of those parentheses.
Parentheses in it? Or no?
You don't have to for that, no. So I'm going to bring down my negative 2 plus negative 2. What's negative 1 times 3?
Negative 3.
And what's negative 1 times 6? Okay,
So you just combine like that.
that's right. Now I just combine like terms. So that's not a t, that's a plus sign, okay? So we have negative 2 plus negative 2. What's that equal? Negative 4. You can do this all in one step if you want to because it's the same order of operations. Then I have negative 4 minus 3.
Negative 7.
Like I said, this last step here, you can do all in one. And then negative 7 minus 6? Negative 13. So really, you just have to do this to get there. But again, I'm a visual learner. I like writing that next part out. As long as you're only doing like that particular step of PEMDAS. Yes. Questions?
Oh.
Okay.